Hello my friends and welcome to the city of the White Wolf, home to the cult of the war god Ulric, and the greatest city-state of the Northern Empire. It is here, at the great temple at the tip of the Ulricsburg, that the eternal flame of winter burns bright, and the Templars of the Inner Circle would gladly give their lives to defend it. Hopefully, they won't have to, as the Knights of the White Wolf and Teutogen Guard make landfall in Steel Faith Overhaul's new Cult of Ulric update, one that I've been very excited to get my hands on for a while now. I think we'll go over the list of changes in another video, but for now, let's focus on the siege itself and the new additions, an Empire subfaction that has to be one of the most hotly anticipated pieces of content in the entirety of the trilogy, if CA decides to actually make it. Teutogen Guard are the elite bodyguards of the R. Ulric, the spiritual leader of the second most powerful religion in the Empire, equipped with massive two-handed hammers and white wolf cloaks that have made them iconic in Warhammer lore. The Knights Panther defend the city as well, forming the personal retinue of Graf Boris Todbringer with a ton of staying power and a bonus versus infantry. And near the tip of the Ulricsburg, what I'm sure many of you have come to see, are the Knights of the White Wolf. Heavily armored can openers with punishing AP values and frenzy, a group of heavily disciplined yet savage warriors who can rival even the most bloodthirsty of the Northmen in close quarters combat. But it's not just Northmen they'll have to contend with. The true children of Morslib, the Chaos Moon, have come out to play. At the edge of the Drakwold Forest, home to the most terrifying Brayherds on the planet, come Kazrak the One-Eye and his horde of Beastmen, with a new legendary unit of Wargors leading the charge. These guys are capped to 1, but they're essentially the champions of a Brayherd, 12 brutal leaders of their tribes with flaming attacks and the Searing Flame attribute that lowers armor and enemy melee attack in an AoE. Of course, no Beastmen army is complete without Gorbals and Minotaurs. To this day, some of the coolest units CA have ever created. And lurking in the shadow of the forest for now are the Gors of Khorne. Blessed by the Lord of Skulls, some of the strongest hand-to-hand infantry in the entirety of the Horned One's arsenal. And at the northern edge of the city wait the Warriors of Chaos. And if you haven't fought against them in SFO before, you don't want to. They're scary. They can put the heart on you bad. Very expensive, but the strongest melee fighters pound for pound in the game, and with a Chaos Sorcerer Lord astride a dragon mutated by the Changer of Ways, the defenders are in for one hell of a long night. But they have the advantage of defenses, a sheer pinnacle of rock, and overwhelming ranged firepower. Chaos has some ranged firepower of their own though. Hull Cannon's opening up fire now, and Balthazar Gelt, the Supreme Patriarch of the Colleges of Magic, leader of the Gold Order, ready to drop some final transmutations on Chaos's head and transmute them into statues of gold. Harpies coming in now, trying to shut down those Huntsmen early. Who have a bonus versus large. They're a great choice against the Beastmen because a lot of their units are low armor and a lot of them are large. And so if you have bonus versus large ammo to fire into them, that can be a very nice way to deal with them. But Harpies are very annoying for archers to deal with, getting in there and starting to rip them apart with their claws and talons. And we'll shift back over real quick and take a look at the Chaos Sorcerer Lord and Chaos. We're now moving up under the withering salvos of mortars from the ramparts. And mortars are honestly a fantastic choice if you're going to be defending a city like Middenheim with the choke points on it, as the Chaos Sorcerer Lord starts to do a little bit of scouting with that Zinchi Dragon. It's very nice to have an artillery piece that will always be able to fire. Whether you have line of sight or not, you can't really rely on great cannons or the Hammer of the Witches to do the dirty work for you in this kind of map, because you're not going to have line of sight for a lot of it. But that's a big Zinchi breath coming through and ripping up the artillery crew, and I don't think they're very pleased with that one. That was not the outcome they desired. That entire artillery crew pretty much dead right off the bat, only a handful left alive in its wake. And the Beastmen assault is getting up here, getting in my grill real quick here. Harpies already dealing with a lot of those Huntsmen up on the walls who got shredded by that first charge. The Wolfkin up on top of the ramparts defended for a while there, but the Minotaurs busting through the main gate, and the Teutogen Guard, and now the Halberdiers bracing, getting ready for the big charge of a bunch of very angry cowmen, Huntsmen firing in. This is the engagement the Empire want though. Huntsmen will be able to fire in with that bonus for large ammunition and start shredding those Beastmen as they get in, but every single time Minotaurs make it into combat, even against Halberdiers, they're gonna do some serious work. And halberdiers are no longer the bonus versus large units they are in vanilla. In Steel Faith Overhaul, they're more focused on armor piercing, so they're not the best choice to be used against minotaurs. That would go to the pikemen, who kind of took the place of spearmen in the vanilla game. Bunch of corn gores getting ready to run through the broken gate at the main hold there, and the Teutogen guard have gotten into combat as well. And they're a very interesting unit. Let's talk about them for a second. As Devolve from the Brave Shaman of Wild goes down, and a breath spell rips in from the flank and shreds a bunch of them. That hurt. Did a lot of damage to the halberdiers there. But the Teutogen guard have armor piercing, as you would expect, with their massive two-handed hammers, and a unique ability called Wolf's Howl, which grants 10% weapon damage and AP damage, and buffs Vigor in a similar manner to the Grumbling Guard, while the Wargors are more focused on outright killing power. As you can see, carving through those Wolfkin like cake, they have the Totem of Rust passive that lowers enemy armor, and have ridiculous melee stats, but cost 2,000 gold to field, and they are capped at 1. Minotaurs, under the shadow of the ramparts, being shredded, being pin-cushioned under a hail of huntsman arrows right now. Gonna make a lot of cowmen very angry, but I don't envy those huntsmen, because honestly, once the Bray Herd busts through, they're gonna do some pretty dirty stuff to them. There was the Bray Shaman on top of the ramparts, and he has decided to beat feet out of there. Boris Todbringer and his Griffin decided to shut him up a bit. I'm not sure we'll get to see him again. Teutogen guard holding the gate here valiantly with that Wolf's Howl passive, and their great melee stats. Their weapon damage is 60. 40 of that is AP damage, so they can be insanely good against armored troops, even against like Corngors, who are amazing in melee combat. Boris Todbringer going in and fighting the Gorbull here, who's been surrounded by the Huntsmen and a bunch of halberdiers, and he's taking a lot of arrows to the face. Isolated, getting cut down here, and one final strike from the Griffin should be enough to seal the deal, and the Gorbull goes down. I'm not even sure that was Boris who struck that killing blow. Might have just been a bunch of arrows into the eyeballs there. But the Wargors are here, covered in the blood of all the Wolfkin, those unbreakable flagellant. They're essentially like flagellants from the Cult of Ulric. They are unbreakable, but they're easy to cut through, and the Wargors had no problem with that whatsoever. And about to get rear charged by the Knights Panther, while we shift over, and the Empire and both the Zargelt hold this side. The Warriors of Chaos are looking to stream in from the sides of the settlement, and Gelt opening up the skies here with a Searing Doom. Bunch of powerful bolts landing down in and amongst that square of Marauders who are pushing up the battering ram, and that hurt. Did a ton of damage to them. Way down past half health. They've taken a lot of Huntsmen and magical damage on the way in. And over here, we have the Altdorf Company of Honor. Gigantic HP pool on these guys, improved stats across the board compared to normal halberdiers, and their last stand passive will grant physical and magical resist, and unbreakable for 30 seconds when leadership drops massively. But against aspiring champions, not sure they want to take that fight. They will get destroyed. Aspiring champions are gods of melee in SFO. They will punish you super hard in close quarters combat, and the Altdorf Company of Honor, that legendary unit, not having a good time. Here, Middenheim starting to get pushed back away from the gate. Teutogen Guard are on their last legs here. Yeah, you can say that again. That guy doesn't even have legs anymore. As the Minotaurs push through, get into the halberdiers, trying to finish them off. Huntsmen have retreated behind the safety of the halberdier phalanx, but how long is that going to hold? They don't have a lot of health left. More Minotaurs charging in, doing their somersault attack, painting the streets red with the blood of the Middenland defenders. And it's bad news, Berenstein Bears, for the defenders right there. Yes, it's Berenstein, not Berenstain. When I saw that, I was so mad. They're trying to tell me that my childhood was all a lie. They're trying to tell me that's Berenstain Bears. No, it's not. No, it's not. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked right now. Halberdiers holding the line for the Empire, but that is a pit of shades, and Magic and SFO will do some serious work, and opening a portal to the Netherrealm. And do you just see the health pool of those halberdiers drop? They were full strength, and now they're pretty much dead after that overcast pit of shades. Yeah, Magicka does some damage. It does some damage for sure. And those halberdiers are dead, but the giant is getting in there now as well, causing some terror, but taking a bunch of arrows and handgunner fire to the face. Look at that focus fire coming in. Nothing is going to be able to sustain in that kind of armor-piercing shenanigans going into his beer gut and his eyeballs there. I think he'll fall pretty quick under that withering salvo from the defenders. And yeah, the Knights of the White Wolf have made their presence felt here, downhill charge into the Minotaurs and into the Khorngors, retreating and trying to get that cycle charge in. Now, to be honest, a map like this isn't ideal for cavalry. It can be kind of hard to get your cycle charges off, but downhill with Knights of the White Wolf with that AP, definitely going to do some damage there. And as we return back to this side, the Chaos Giant, yeah, he has almost no health left. And I mean, how could he? Under 6 or 7 volleys from all those different units coming in now, just getting completely covered in arrow fire and handgun shots, pockmarked with bullet holes, and he's going to beat feet out of there. I don't blame him. Chaos Dragon thinking about landing in the handgunners, but instead gonna unleash a breath attack into a huge blob, and that is gonna be bad news for everybody, not just the Empire, also the attacking Marauders and Chaos Warriors in there. No mercy whatsoever from that Chaos Lord, dropping a Pit of Shades, missing it looks like, and the Royal Orthodox Purified's getting there. I don't know how many kills he got in that cast, but it had to have been 150 plus. And now the handgunner fire focusing down the Chaos Dragon, and he should have gone for the ranged units because he has just made a huge mistake, putting his own nails in his own coffin there with all those ranged units firing and pouring in that fire, and he's already past half health. There was no way he was going to live. And the Chaos Sorcerer Lord on top of his Zinchi Dragon goes down. Meanwhile, the Khorngor is pushing forward. Knights of the White Wolf smacking into them head all along, making pancakes out of some blood for the Blood God Beastmen. And they just went flying into the buildings lining the street. Well, Minotaur is coming in to reinforce. Boris Todbringer and his Griffin getting into the thick of the fighting. We've got very fierce street fighting going on, getting very close to the tip of the Ulricsburg as well. That final temple where the Flame of Ulric resides. Can the Templars defend their holy site? It's going to be really hard. There are a lot of Beastmen still on the field. They've taken a lot of losses, but so have the Middenland defenders. And as clouds pass overhead, it gets a little bit darker, a little bit rainier, a little bit stormier. Starts looking a little bit more like the end times here. We'll get some good shots in with the Huntsmen and try to take those Beastmen down. Got to be a little bit careful about friendly fire, because with those bonus versus large arrow shots, can maybe hurt your own cavalry if you're not too careful there. But got to get those Minotaurs and Khorngors off the field, who are immune to Psych, at least in the early stages of the battle. So you've got to drop them down to a certain leadership threshold to make them break and get that terror routing going. Lots of fire pouring in right now. Huntsmen still have plenty of ammunition. Boris Todbringer does have his Rune Fang, which means he will have the health regen, which is such an important factor in this battle as we move into the mid to late stages of it. Teutogen Guard on this side for the Empire, defending against the Warriors of Chaos, who have ascended the walls on top of those ladders. Really brutal fight. Everybody over there just covered in blood. It looks like the Teutogen Guard might pull it out there, maybe, but they're not looking too good right now. More handgunner fire coming in, and let's shift over, because that's where most of the action is at the moment. The Empire is holding well, but Middenland is struggling a bit. Definitely struggling. Knights of the White Wolf, Teutogen Guard, and Wolfkin, all the new Cult of Ulric units getting thrown in at once. Poor Ungor going flying there in the background. And Boris watching it all, waiting to see if he can cause some kind of chain route here. Not going to be an easy thing, but that Griffin can definitely get in the thick of the fighting, especially if it lands in the flank of the Ungors and do a lot of damage there. But yeah, the Middenland warriors are starting to get pushed back here. There's a big group of Khorngors and Minotaurs still reaping their terrible toll. And on top of it all, the Wargors providing that support with the Totem of Rust passive and the Searing Flame attacks. Yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem for sure. But Huntsman getting some really good shots into the Minotaurs. And we'll see Graf Boris Todbringer getting ready to charge in here. Getting ready to land in the back of a big blob of Ungors. Shredding them. Absolutely ripping them apart with those talons. And that is a mass rout we got going with the Ungors. Really important charge there for Middenland. They needed that. Now, if they could get a cavalry over there and finish off all those routing units, make sure they don't come back, that could be enough to seal the deal here, maybe. Knights of the White Wolf in the thick of the fighting with those huge armor-piercing cavalry hammers. There's no cavalry in the back, though, to prevent those Ungors from returning to the fight. And Boris and Kazrak, that iconic duel, both of them one eyes because of what they've done to each other. Kazrak goring out Boris's eye, and Boris taking out Kazrak's with the Rune Fang, fighting and getting bullied at the moment, while the aspiring champions who slaughtered those poor Altdorf Company of Honor being run down by the Altdorf Griffites and shot to pieces by the handgunners. More Knights of the White Wolf sallying forth, ready to help Balthazar Gelt finish off these Chaos Warriors who have ascended the ramparts here. They have pushed back the Knights of the White Wolf, the Teutogen Guard rather, who were on the walls, and they're completely dead now. It looks like Halberdiers decapitating a few unfortunate Chaos Warriors, doing a good job of holding the line for now, but they look to be on the back foot. Yeah, they're definitely on the back foot, about to rout here. Chaos Warriors swarming them over, but they're pushing back the attackers at the main gate, and the Hell Cannons have pulled up, not able to fire from that close in, so they'll have to be wheeled through the gate if they want to get some shots off. And Middenland, yeah, with the Ungors coming back, Middenland is completely on the back foot now. They're going to have to retreat to another defensive location because their huntsmen, now out of ammunition pretty much, have been forced to commit into melee, running, and it's death and destruction for the Middenheim defenders here, getting gored, decapitated, dismembered, and eaten alive by the Gore Herd and the rest of these attackers. The Minotaurs pushing through, and Kazrak and his Bray Herd are doing what they need to do, and they have defeated Middenheim. But the city is not fallen yet. Boris is still alive, clipping through some rocks as he flies, and he will look to link up with Balthazar Gelt, who's dropped a big Gehenna's Golden Hounds on the Chaos Warriors, doing some very decent damage right there. Gotta be careful with the friendly fire, though. It can bounce into your own cavalry and do some bad damage to your own stuff. Gelt, not in a very good position right now. He is fighting a bunch of halberdiers, which is not where you want to be on an unarmored steed. And Gelt is not a melee combatant in and of himself. But as his health begins to drop, Boris Todbringer comes in out of nowhere from the side and gives him opportunity to escape. That was cool. Boris Todbringer to the rescue on the Griffin. Gelt manages to sneak on out of there, and both legendary lords will be okay. Now, Gelt, of course, not going to be able to get any healing, but he's still alive, and that is the important thing. Certainly, Middenheim is in a bit of trouble here. Gonna look at the Ulricsburg up top, the Grand Temple, and the Knights of the White Wolf running away from the encroaching Beastmen Bray Herd. But it is not over just yet. Grab Boris Todbringer charging forward on his Griffin into the thick of the Ungors. And beautiful charge ripping through them. Might be able to cause yet another terror rout. And this is the engagement he wants. He could kill these Ungors all day with that unlimited regen. But it's the Minotaurs and it's the Korngors that will give him fits. And if they come in and get close, he's going to have to pull away. Handgunner's getting some really good shots off. But this is their final stand. There is absolutely nowhere to run as Kazrak and the Beastmen stream down the main thoroughfare to the center of the city. Hell Cannon's getting point-blank shots off into the middle of the Knights of the White Wolf. And now charging forward into the thick of the fighting, trying desperately to hold them back with their AP. They should be able to do well against these Chaos Warriors, but they have taken so much damage. And those are, yeah, never mind, those are halberdiers. Yeah, no, they're, let me rephrase that. Even with their AP, they are not going to do well in a choke point against bonus First Large and armor piercing. Those Chaos Warriors are going to probably destroy them. But Royal Altdorf Griffites still alive, and they got in and amongst the Minotaurs. Perfect engagement for them. They should be able to slaughter them. Demigriffs are monster killers, if nothing else. Incredible units, and Royal Altdorf Griffites are the premier, the cream of the crop. They're starting to lose their models. Wargors are in the thick of the fighting too, and that changes things a bit. Uppercut, sending one of those riders to the earth. And things are looking very, very bad for the Empire, but it's not over yet. Griffin is still in the thick of the fighting. Boris Todbringer still in the thick of the fighting, ripping the Beastmen apart with Tooth and Claw and Legbiter, his Rune Fang. Minotaur's coming in to reinforce, and the Griffin gets out of there as it knows to do. Does not want to be fighting Minotaurs when supported by all that. And the Knights of the White Wolf are getting destroyed here. I think they've routed, looking for an exit out of this hellish situation. Chaos Warriors pushing forward, but the Chaos Army is in disarray. There's nothing left. They lost their general, they lost their Chaos Knights, or their Chaos Giant rather. They have Hell Cannons, and they have really beaten up Chaos Warriors, and that's pretty much it. There's not much left on the field for Chaos. Boris slaughtering a couple of Minotaurs there. But Wargor's coming in to reinforce, and this should pretty much be the end of the game. The defenders just don't quite have the gas required to push it over the finish line and seal the deal here. But Boris will have one last legendary look at the city, and in his heart he knows it has fallen to Khazrak, his greatest rival, and to some idiot Chaos Sorcerer Lord who decided to let himself get shot by AP missile fire from close range. So yeah, the Chaos Lord is dead, but Khazrak will preside over the city with a handful, a minuscule amount of troops left. Does not have a lot left on the field. But a last final charge, a last duel for the Electric Count of Middenland, and a couple more kills, and that should seal his fate, and the fate of the city of the White Wolf. Great battle, really fun one, really fun one. Honestly, I think we gave the attackers a bit too much of a funds advantage. I've always struggled a bit. Well, nah, I can't say I've always struggled. I've had some challenges trying to figure out how much funds advantage attackers could get over defenders. Probably gave them a little bit too much there. But honestly, at the end of the day, like, it was still pretty close battle. There wasn't a whole lot left. There were the Wargors. Khazrak was still alive. A handful of really beaten up Minotaurs and some Khorngors. But not the closest battle I've ever had, but still a good look at the Cult of Ulric units and what they can do. Now, to be honest, they didn't get a lot of kills in this battle. That's mostly because they're not fighting really in the situation that's perfect for them, right? Like, Knights of the White Wolf, you want to be using them on open field battle. It's hard to use cavalry inside a city that has choke points like this. You can't flank. You can't get those hammer and anvils off. They didn't get a lot of kills this battle, but they did do a lot of HP damage, and they were fighting very elite units. Jack went for very elite Beastmen army rather than going for numbers. So on an open field, Knights of the White Wolf will perform better for sure. Teutogen Guard held the line very well, and they're more a support unit than a straight melee engager. Even though they do have great melee stats, they do have lower numbers. But we can take a look at the Chaos Dragon, the Chaos Sorcerer Lord. Over 300 kills. Hell Cannons were, they were fine. Chaos Giant did what it needed to do, just soaked up a lot of damage. And Paper Cat's missile units kicked some serious butt this game. I mean, you're not going to see a lot of kills on the Huntsmen because they were shooting single entities like the Chaos Sorcerer Lord on the Dragon and the Chaos Giant, but that focus fire was amazing and did a lot of work. And I think that she would have won on that side if the Beastmen hadn't come over to reinforce. Really good game. Thank you all for watching. Check out the Cult of Ulric update coming soon. I'll see you next time. Any Pride, signing out for now.